suspect engages them with gunfire almost right at the grill of the car. There were 4 officers who were in that van. All 4 fired at the suspect, and the suspect fell there. Suspect is in a local hospital. He is in critical, unstable condition in surgery.
There are businesses making a comeback. People who haven't moved away, and even some who believe it might be a great place to live. But Ferguson, Missouri is once again in the American frontal lobe, as we cannot seem to even mark violent anniversaries without more gunfire and more hate. Then again, is anyone really shocked? Hear from those who live this every day and are close to lives that will never, ever be the same again. First up, he's the host of The McGraw Show every weekday morning on KTRS, the Big 550 in St. Louis, Missouri, McGraw Millhaven. And she is past president of the Association of Black Psychologists in St. Louis, formerly assistant professor of psychology at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, Dr. Jameca Falconer. I thank you both for joining us. And McGraw, I'm going to go ahead and start with you because I know that you have been talking to the people every single day. You're hearing the people's concerns. But I'm going to start out by actually saying something that I think is going to anger some folks. Is it just fair to say that no one is shocked that there was more violence celebrating the year of Michael Brown's death?
Yeah, I think you're right, but I also think there are a lot of people who are shocked. We've made a lot of progress in the last year. There have been some transformational things, both in the state and in the county, to sort of help solve this problem, including a new police chief. New ways in which they go about writing tickets and warrants and all those types of things. So in 365 days, it's phenomenal change. And yet most of the protesters yesterday were peaceful. And the larger context, Ed, is that St. Louis is going through a crime wave. And I don't think as much as that was a violent night here in St. Louis last night, I think it has more to do with the overall St. Louis issue of crime. And they just use this anniversary to go out and cause more damage.
We understand that there have been very peaceful protests here, and the majority of people here want to mark this, move on, and improve their community. But why is it that we are still at a point where someone just believes they've got to bring a gun to something like this? We're told by this kid's father that he was a friend of Mike Brown. That doesn't make any difference. You don't bring a gun to something like this if you're looking to bring the level of violence down. Yes?
Yes, I think it's a case of outside coming in. These are not, like you said, these are not the majority of the protesters. Most are peaceful, most want to see change, and most are coming around for healing. I think a tremendous effort has been put into cleaning those people out, getting rid of them and letting them know what prevails, what type of ideals and values prevail. But like I said, there are always going to be people who slide in some type of way to do their personal agendas and make their own values and voices known in sometimes very criminal ways.
This is St. Louis's problem, and we need to deal with it. This is not a story about police brutality. This is about a boy who took the law into his own hands, who beat up his neighbors, who was a bully. Why are we honoring him and not talking about the larger problem of crime and those businesses that were destroyed? How come they weren't honored yesterday?
Okay, Dr. Falconer, McGraw brings up a very good point here, and let's get really honest here for a moment. We talk about honoring Michael Brown. Absolutely. Look, if he's your friend, he's your son, whatever, we don't want anybody killed. We get that. But every report that comes out about this talks about the young man who was killed by a cop, the young black man who was killed by a white cop. Dr. Falconer, this was a young man who allegedly committed a strong-arm robbery, who, if he had not done something wrong in that store, had he not gone up and gone against the cop in the street, he might still be alive today. Why are we not reminding people that there is fault on both sides here? Don't we need to do that?
I think most people are able to acknowledge that there's fault on both sides.
But they don't. But with all due respect, Dr. Falconer, they're not doing that, though. Even the media reports come out and say, black kid shot by white cop. And doesn't that, as history goes on, aren't we writing a wrong part of history here? We're not giving it all for people to take in.
Well, I think here in the city of St. Louis and in Ferguson, we acknowledge all facts involved in the case. But I think what has happened is that we still see it as an issue of discrimination, of police training, of an issue of Darren Wilson thinking that Michael Brown was this big bad person, and he acted on those beliefs.
But he attacked the cop, though. He attacked the cop.
there are some, contradictory things that went on with that eyewitnesses accounts. And you have to also acknowledge a very big part of this is African Americans, we don't trust all things that police say. We don't trust all things that media say.
Do you trust what the Justice Department says?
I think the Justice Department said a lot of different things. And one of the things they said in particular was that Ferguson, the city of Ferguson, had a history, a pattern of discrimination. So if you can believe that they have a pattern of discrimination within law enforcement in the city of Ferguson, then Darren Wilson is a product.
Okay, Ed, I got to jump in here. Let's talk about.
Please, I got about 30 seconds left, McGraw. Go ahead.
The Ferguson police chief is gone. They just hired an African-American police chief from Glendale, Arizona, who was out there, who's on the job. That's massive change. They have changed the way they go after warrants and tickets and all those types of things. There's been great amount of change in which both sides say North County is broken. But yet nobody, the shop owners are left for their own devices. Nobody cares. You brought disparaging now comments and those shops are not rebuilt. No one cares about the innocent shop owners, who, by the way, many of them are minorities and black-owned businesses.
I unfortunately am all out of time, and I want to say to both of you, look, it's very simple. We understand that there are black communities in this country who fear the police. We understand that. We get that. And they have good reason to in a lot of areas. But we have to make sure that we put everything together, put the facts down here, and take the facts and use them to fix what's wrong. Hopefully, we've taken a step forward on that today, and you both do that as well. McGraw Millhaven, Big 550 KTRS in St. Louis. Dr. Jameca Falconer, I thank you both for being with us. We will continue this discussion. Stay with us. The fastest 60 minutes of news, The Hard Line, continues.